The Surgeon General taking on social media platforms to combat what he is calling an emergency mental health crisis. In a New York Times op-ed piece, the Surgeon General writes, it's time to require a Surgeon General's warning label on social media platforms stating that social media is associated with significant mental health harms for adolescents. The Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, joins us this morning. And Dr. Murthy, thank you for being here today. This is something, the move that you made earlier this week was one that definitely caught our attention, and I'm sure a lot of other people's as well. Explain why you think that this is a situation that warrants that sort of a label.
Well, we're living in the middle of a youth mental health crisis. This is the worst mental health crisis among young people that I have seen in nearly 30 years of public health. And it has now become increasingly clear that one of the key drivers of that mental health crisis is, in fact, social media. We have to keep in mind that adolescents are not just small adults. They're at a unique phase of brain development where they're particularly sensitive to social suggestion, to social comparison, and their impulse control is not fully developed either. And what we are seeing is, unfortunately, many young people are exposed to significant harms online, whether it's sexual content, violent content, whether it's bullying and harassment, including from strangers, or exposure to features that would seek to manipulate their developing brains into excessive use. And that collectively takes a toll, which is why we found in the advisory I issued last year that young people who are spending 3 hours or more on social media face double the risk of anxiety and depression symptoms. So this is a profound public health challenge for us. What is striking to me is if this happened, if we saw this kind of data and evidence of young people themselves raising their hand and saying, these products are harming me or exposing me to dangers, with parents saying that as well, we would have raised flags years ago. We would have taken action. We should have done the same thing here years ago. So the warning label I'm calling for will help parents and young people understand the risks that we see, but it's part of a broader set of reforms I've called for, which are important to ultimately make the platforms safer for our kids.
There is a lot of money from the social media companies that's been spent lobbying Congress to try and say, no, we don't want restrictions that are placed on us. We can do this ourselves. What do you think of the efforts that the industry has taken on to try and say that we will police ourselves on this?
Well, social media has been around for nearly 20 years. And in that time, the companies have had plenty of opportunities to do it by themselves. And most importantly, to demonstrate with scientific evidence that the steps that they are taking are actually effective in making the platform safe for our kids. Yet we have not seen that evidence. When I talk to independent researchers around the country, what they tell me most consistently is that they cannot get all of the data they need from social media companies to fully assess the mental health impact of the platforms on our kids. Now, I'll tell you this as a parent. As a parent of 2 young children, I do not want to feel, like any other parent doesn't want to feel, that a company that's making the products my kids are using is hiding data from me about the impact on their mental health. Yet that is the situation we find ourselves in today. So, if companies are taking actions, that's great. But what we need to see as Americans is proof that these are actually effective in keeping our kids safe. And right now, there's plenty of evidence to say that the platforms are still not safe for our children.
Hey, Doctor, long before social media, adolescents, before high school, during high school, we know what goes on. And just to play devil's advocate for a second, I mean, you don't necessarily shoot the messenger. These are all, it's almost human nature, the way some of the stuff that you see. And it's just one step removed from where the responsibility really should lie, and that's with parents and instilling the type of virtues and values that you should have to where you wouldn't abuse what goes on with social media. Social media is just the means that some of these base natural inclinations are expressed. Is there anything to that notion? If I was a social media company, to be like, what, it's my fault that these kids are brats?
I'm so glad that you bring this up, because it's a very reasonable question to ask. What's different with these platforms now compared to what childhood has been like for generations, for many of us when we were growing up? Here's what's fundamentally different. The platforms have transformed childhood for kids. They have. When I was growing up, maybe I got bullied by, some kids in my class. Maybe if I did something dumb in school, maybe 30 kids in my class knew about it. The world is very different now for children. You do something that perhaps you're embarrassed by, and thousands of people may be seeing it because it's recorded, it's posted. The bullying and harassment can be 24/7. It is at a scale that is unprecedented. And the other thing is, we're seeing on these platforms, they've become a medium to introduce harmful content to kids that they never sought out. I've encountered so many parents and young people who themselves told me that they went through a difficult breakup and then found that the algorithm started feeding them content about taking their own life. In several cases, I've talked to parents whose children ultimately did take their own life after the algorithm fed them videos about not only suggesting suicide, but walking them through how they would actually take their own life. This was not happening at this scale when we were growing up. So what's happening right now is the equivalent of putting kids in cars with no safety features, putting them on roads with no speed limits, no traffic lights, no rules whatsoever, and saying, good luck. We hope it turns out okay. We can do better than that. Yes, of course, there's a responsibility for parents. Parents need to, of course, set a good example for their kids in their own use of social media. They need to be involved in having conversations with their children so they understand what they're doing on social media. But I'll tell you this, we have put parents in an impossible situation to monitor a technology that they didn't grow up with, that's rapidly evolved, beyond which most of us would reasonably be able to manage. And we've told them that this is all on your shoulders. And the mom I wrote about in my op-ed in the New York Times, Lori from Colorado, who lost her beautiful daughter, Anna, to suicide after she was mercilessly bullied and harassed on social media. This mom was doing everything that we would think a parent should do. She set rules for her children about what kind of social media they could use and couldn't use. She monitored their phone every day. Yet what she found was that there were sophisticated means of hiding apps. Her daughter ended up having multiple accounts that she didn't know about, despite being incredibly diligent and vigilant as a parent. So we've got to have the backs of parents and kids on this. We've ultimately pitted children and their parents against some of the most well-resourced companies with some of the best product engineers in the world who are using cutting-edge brain science to make sure that our kids are maximizing how much time they spend on these platforms. That is not a fair fight. And that's why I've called on Congress to not only put a warning label in place, but to put in place a series of steps and guardrails that would protect kids from the kind of harmful content we're talking about, from the manipulative features which suck them into sort of excessive use. And if we don't do that, then we're ultimately consigning our children, I worry, to serious harms that are fueling the mental health crisis that we're seeing today.
Surgeon General, let me ask you, though, in terms of culpability, we're talking about Facebook and TikTok and some of these platforms. I'm curious how much culpability you think the platforms that are Apple and the phone itself, the folks who effectively control the ecosystem, or even a Google with Android. I mean, where does this all responsibility lie for you?
It's a really good question, Andrew. And look, I think that I maybe call me old-fashioned, but I believe that if you make products, you should be responsible for them. I see that in healthcare all the time. You make a product that's defective, that causes harm, you should take responsibility for that. If you're a doctor, you make a mistake, you should take responsibility for that. Right now, we have platforms themselves, regardless of how they're being delivered. Most of it often is through phone, in some cases through other platforms, or through other forms of technology. But you've got these platforms which are fundamentally not safe for our kids right now. And I do think that there's a responsibility that platforms should bear for that. But look, I do think that there's a role that phone manufacturers can play as well. They could certainly consider what standards they have for safety, especially before they allow children to download apps onto their devices. And so, look, this in a crisis like this, where all of our kids are being affected, keep in mind 95% of kids are on social media. We've all got to step up and see what we can do better. That's not just parents and kids.
It sounds like you want Congress to do something much more, but this is the only thing that you can do within your power is ask Congress to put this label on it.
Well, I can ask Congress to do much more, and I've done that. It's not just the label. Keep in mind, the label is one part of a broader set of safety guardrails that Congress needs to put in place. And that's what I called for last year in my social media advisory. I know that these issues are complicated. I know that timing isn't always convenient. But I just ask you this. what is more important than protecting the safety and well-being of our kids when we're living through a mental health crisis with skyrocketing levels of anxiety, depression, and suicide among our kids? We should be pulling out the stops to make sure they're protected from harm, especially on social media. Congress can do that today. They need to step up and take action.